Hello friends, today's lecture is based on the life cycle of Rhizopus. Here we are divided this life cycle in two parts. First part one is the classification of the Rhizopus, then occurrence of the Rhizopus, habit of the Rhizopus, then asexual reproduction. In next lecture or in part second, we will focusing on the sexual reproduction and life cycle pattern or alternation of generation in the Rhizopus. Okay, so today's aspect life cycle of Rhizopus part first. The systematic position or classification. This classification is according to Alexopoulos and Mims system of classification, which was proposed in 1979. Kingdom is the Mycete, division is the Amastigomycota, then subdivision is the Zygomycotina, in which the perfect stage condition is the zygospores. Okay, then class Zygomycetes, same perfect stage condition is zygospore, which is the unique identity or particular identity of this class or subdivision. Then order Mucorales. This Mucorales is very important order in case of Zygomycetes fungi. Okay, and family Muceraceae, and this is the again important family having two important genera. One is the Mucor, another one is the Rhizopus. And these Mucor and Rhizopus are the most common fungi, occurs everywhere as a cosmopolitan in nature. Now genus is the Rhizopus. Okay, and species, most common species of the Rhizopus is the Stolonifer. So this is about the classification or systematic position of Rhizopus according to Alexopoulos and Mims classification system. Then occurrence of the Rhizopus. Occurrence means habitat. Habitat is the botanical term. Then occurrence is the meaning of that habitat. Habitat word. Now first point. It is the commonest fungus found growing on bread and thus is commonly called bread mold. The common name of the Rhizopus is the bread mold. Why Rhizopus called as the bread mold? Because it commonly occurs, it frequently occurs on the breads when breads are not stored properly. When breads are not stored properly, when rotis, chapatis or any food stuff not stored properly, immediately this Rhizopus Rhizopus fungus spores are attacked and attacked on that food material, and they can grow luxuriantly as a saprophytic fungi. Okay, so most common occurrence of the Rhizopus is they are most commonly growing on the bread, so that they are called as bread mold. Bread means growing on bread, so bread, and mold means fungi. Okay, the fungi grows on bread, called as bread mold. Second point, it is a saprophytic fungi. Saprophytic fungi means what? The fungi growing on the dead, decaying, decomposing organic substratum or organic matter. Such fungi called as the saprophytes. These fungi can absorb the water, minerals as well as the food materials from the dead and decaying organic materials, so that these fungi are called as the saprophytic fungi. The saprophytic is one of the term according to mode of nutrition in fungi. So Rhizopus mode of nutrition is the saprophytic, and this fungi also called as saprophytic fungi or saprophyte. Third point, besides it occurs on damp decaying fruits, besides it occurs on damp decaying fruits, vegetables and other food material such as pickles, jams and jellies. Other than bread, this fungus also grows on variety of food items food substrata, food materials like chapatis, rotis, rice, pickles, jams and jellies. When these pickles, jam, jellies, rotis, chapatis, we cannot store the properly, immediately the growth of the rhizopus we can found on that material. The white cottony patches can occur on the food material, that is nothing but the growth of the fungus. That white cottony material is nothing but the mycelium of the rhizopus. Mycelium is the vegetative structure of the rhizopus. So in this way, other than bread, it can grows on all different type of food articles. Okay, see the picture. In this picture or photo, the bread is there, and on that bread the white patches are there. These white patches are nothing but the white colony or colonies of the rhizopus fungi. Okay, so this is the habitat of the rhizopus. Then the thallus structure. Thallus structure means habit, body structure. Okay. First point, the mycelium shows abundant white cottony growth. In previous slide on bread, you can find observed the white patches. That white patches are nothing but the colonies of the rhizopus. If you take small piece of that colony and put on the microscope and observe under the microscope, then you will find the mycelium of the rhizopus as well as its reproductive structures. Okay, so the first point, mycelium shows abundant white cottony growth. Now there are two diagrams in this slide. First, above black colored diagram, that is nothing but the mycelium of the rhizopus. This is the small piece of the mycelium. Okay, see the point number second. The young mycelium is multinucleate, aseptate with all the hyphae alike. Alike means similar in nature. The mycelium type is the cenocytic. Cenocytic means what? The well-developed, branched, aseptate, multinucleate mycelium called as cenocytic mycelium. So that the rhizopus mycelium is the cenocytic. Okay, the type of mycelium is the cenocytic, which is well-developed, branched, aseptate and multinucleate. Okay, see in the diagram, here branched mycelium is there and hyphal wall is there, all oil droplets are there. These oil droplets are nothing but the glycogen and oil globules or droplets. This is the reserve food in the fungi. Then vacuoles are there. Then these are the many nuclei present in the mycelium. So mycelium is the multinucleate and cytoplasm is there. Cytoplasm means this is the cell sap present in the cell. So in this way, this is the cenocytic mycelium of the rhizopus. Okay, this is the young mycelium. When this mycelium is matured, at that time, this matured mycelium shows three different parts. This matured mycelium shows three different parts. You see in the diagram, this is the diagram of matured rhizopus mycelium. You see at the base, the red colored structures, they are rhizoids. This rhizopus is separated from mucor due to presence of rhizoids. Due to presence of rhizoids, rhizopus having name rhizopus. Okay, so these rhizoids are there. These rhizoids are root-like structures, but they are not roots. Okay, but they are rhizoids. They are simple structure. They are grows in the substratum. They are goes in the substratum, grows in the substratum. Then what is the function? What is their function? They can absorb moisture as well as the food material from the substratum. Suppose this mycelium grows on the bread, at that time that rhizoids are grows or goes in the bread and they absorb the moisture as well as the food material in the form of carbon from that organic material, so that they can grow as a saprophyte. So rhizoids, they are absorptive in nature and they are anchorage in function. they are firmly attached to the substratum so that they can give the mechanical support to the another parts of the mycelium. So first part of the matured mycelium is the rhizoids. These rhizoids are positively geotropic. Positively geotropic means they are positively goes inside the substratum. And these rhizoids are coming from the single point. They are arises from the single point and they are branched. Rhizoids are again branched and they are multinucleate. Why they are multinucleate? Because the mycelium is multinucleate, so that rhizoids are also multinucleate structures. Above the rhizoids, the horizontally growing bended structure is there. That horizontally growing structure, horizontal to the substratum, is called as the stolon. That structure is the tubular structure. Tubular means tube-like. That is siphoneous structure. Siphoneous structure means siphon-like. Siphon means again tube-like. So this is the siphoneous structure, or it is a tubular structure. And that tubular structure is called as the stolon. That stolon horizontally grows on the substratum. At certain distance, it bends in the substratum, and from that bending toward the lower side they produce rhizoids, and toward the upper side they produce the sporangiophores. So this is the second part of the matured mycelium is the stolons, which grows horizontally on the substratum at certain distance. They are runner-like structures. How runners are present in the angiosperms? Like that, this runner is there. And this stolon bending in the substratum, and from bending point they produce the rhizoids toward its lower side and produce sporangiophores toward the upper side. So second part of the mycelium is the stolon. First is rhizoids, second is stolon, and third one is the sporangiophore. Okay, you see here the sporangiophore spores are developed from the point where the rhizoids are produced at basal side. From where at basal side rhizoids are produced, at the same point toward the upper side sporangiophores can be developed. Here rhizoids are branched, but sporangiophores are unbranched. Okay, rhizoids are produced in groups. Again sporangiophores are produced in groups. Okay, rhizoids are produced from the single point. Again sporangiophores are produced from the single point. So this is some similarities in between rhizoids and sporangiophores. Sporangiophores are upright structure. Upright means they are erect. Upright means erect structure, saral. They are upright structure, and at their tip they are swollen. At their tip they are swollen, or at their tip the balloon-like structure is develops. That balloon-like structure is called as the sporangium. Sporangium is nothing but the sac-like structure. Sporangium is the sac-like structure. It is a sac of the spores, so called as sporangium. And this sporangium produces many sporangiospores, and these sporangiospores are asexually reproductive structures. Why asexually? Because these sporangiospores develop without contact of the reproductive organs, without contact of the sexual reproductive organs. So sporangiospores are considered as a asexual spores. Okay, at the tip of the sporangiophore the sporangium is develops. Then again another point is there, that is the columella. Another part of the sporangiophore or sporangium is there, that is the columella. Columella means what? How we can define columella? The definition of the columella is that the elongated part of the sporangiophore in the sporangium called as the columella. Sorry, the growing part of the sporangiophore, the growing part or tip of the sporangiophore growing in the sporangium called as the columella. So this is the simple definition of the columella, and this is the again typical identity, and that columella at the tip it is a club shaped, at the tip that columella is the club shaped, and that columella further covered by the sporangium, which is the sac like structure, bag like structure, and this sporangium produces many sporangiospores, and at maturity the sporangium can be break. At the maturity, the wall of the sporangium can be break. After breaking the sporangium wall, the sporangiospores are released through air, released through different vectors. Okay, so these sporangiospores, when released from the sporangium, they can germinate individually, and they again produce new individual mycelium of the rhizopus. So this is the diagram of matured mycelium of the rhizopus. There are three parts of the matured mycelium. First one is the rhizoids, second one is the stolon, third one is the sporangiophore. Okay, and sporangiophore produce the sporangium at the tip, and sporangium contains many sporangiospores. Here description is given. Just I will read this description. Point number 3. In the older mycelium, three parts of hyphae can be distinguished. Okay. Roman 1, branched rhizoids that penetrate the substratum. Second, stolon or runner growing horizontally above the substratum for some distance and then bending downward, producing another group of rhizoids. And third is the sporangiophores, which grow upwards in tufts. Tufts means groups, clusters, upward in tufts from the point where the stolons form rhizoids. This is about the thallus structure or habit of the rhizopus. When this matured mycelium is totally matured, when mycelium is totally matured, at that time that mycelium is entered in the reproduction. First, this mycelium causes the asexual reproduction, and later on it entered in the sexual phase or in sexual reproduction. First point, rhizopus reproduces by vegetatively, asexually and sexual methods. All types of reproduction we can found in the rhizopus. Okay. First type of reproduction is the vegetative reproduction. Why this is called as vegetative? Because this reproduction caused by vegetative part of the fungus, so called as vegetative reproduction. Then what is the vegetative part of the fungus? Mycelium is the vegetative part. It is also called as somatic part. Somatic means vegetative. When the mycelium causes the reproduction, that reproduction is called as vegetative reproduction. The type of vegetative reproduction in rhizopus is fragmentation. Fragment means what? Small piece, small segment, small bit. And when mycelium cut into small fragment, small segment, small piece, small bit, and at that time that small piece having ability to regenerate, and if that small piece produce the new individual mycelium, that is the vegetative reproduction. See the explanation. The vegetative hyphae, stolons, may break up into smaller fragments. Fragment means small piece. Each fragment is capable of developing into new mycelium. Then what happens when small piece can be broken from the mycelium? No doubt there is cell division. Which cell division? Mitosis cell division, regular cell division. And due to mitosis, the small piece of the mycelium grows repeatedly, frequently, and it produces the larger new individual mycelium. So vegetative reproduction in rhizopus is the fragmentation. Second one is asexual reproduction. And asexual reproduction caused by two types of spores. One is sporangiospores another one is the chlamydospores. First one is the sporangiospores. As you know that these sporangiospores are abundantly developed in the rhizopus. They are very small, they are microscopic, they are generally black in color, they are generally circular, okay, and they are developed in abundant in number, abundant in form, and they can disperse through wind toward a very long distance, okay, and when they germinate, when they fall down on the suitable substratum, if the suitable environmental conditions are available, they start germination, produce the new individual mycelium. So this is the asexual reproduction caused by sporangiospores. How sporangiospores are developed? When mycelium is matured, that matured mycelium produces the sporangiophore. At the tip sporangiophore, sporangium is developed, and sporangium produces many sporangiospores, and these sporangiospores are nothing but the asexual spores. They causes the asexual reproduction in rhizopus. Abundantly asexual reproduction takes place in rhizopus compared to sexual reproduction. The role of asexual reproduction is the major in the life cycle of rhizopus, because these sporangiospores are develops in the favorable conditions, and sexual reproduction or chlamydospores are developed in unfavorable conditions. See the description, point number 1. During favorable condition, it is the most common method of asexual reproduction. Okay. Then point number 2. The asexual reproductive structures are sporangia borne by the sporangiophores. Sporangiophores means what? PHORE. 4 means stalk of the sporangium called as sporangiophore. Okay. The asexual reproductive structures are sporangia borne means developed by the sporangiophores. Third point, each sporangiophore is swollen at the tip and form the sporangium. Just we have observed that each sporangiophore swollen at the tip and form the sporangium, which is the bag of the spores, sac of the spores. Then point number 4, the sporangium has a columella in the center. Then it is again important identity of the rhizopus because it is absent in the mucor. The sporangium has a columella in the center, and the space between columella and the wall of the sporangium is packed with sporangiospores. The sporangiospores are developed in between the space available in between the columella and sporangium. This is known as the spore sac. So that the sporangium known as spore sac. Number 5. The sporangiospores are angular or rounded and multinucleate. These sporangiospores are angular, but majority they are rounded and multinucleate. Why sporangiospores are multinucleate? Because the sporangiospores are directly developed by the matured mycelium, which is basically multinucleate, which is basically sinusotic. So that sporangiospores are ultimately multinucleate. So sporangiospores are multinucleate, and when these sporangiospores can germinate, again they produce the multinucleate mycelium, means sinusotic mycelium. Okay. The spores are colorless or colored, blue or brown, and cuticularized. Okay. In this way they are colorless, or if color is there, they are blue in color. Number 6. Sporangiospores are liberated by breaking of the sporangial wall. When sporangium wall is broken, the sporangiospores can be releases. Okay. And number 7, the sporangiospores germinates to form a new mycelium. After sporangiosperms develops in the favorable conditions on suitable substratum, they produce new individual mycelium of the rhizopus. In this way, the sporangiosperms causes the asexual reproduction in the rhizopus. Now the asexual reproduction by chlamydospores. Okay, these chlamydospores are, what is different between sporangiosperms and chlamydospores? The sporangiosperms are developed in favorable conditions and chlamydospores are developed in unfavorable conditions. Okay, sporangiosperms are thin walled and chlamydospores are thick walled. Why they are thick walled? Because they are resting spores. They can survive for a long duration. They can survive as a perennial spores. They can survive more than 6, 7, 8, 9 months or more than 1 years. To adapt in adverse environmental condition, they become a sturdy. They should be sturdy. They should be very sturdy wall, very sturdy coating around them. So they are thick walled with full of food material. So chlamydospores, asexual spores. These chlamydospores also called as thalospores. Why called as thalospores? Because they develops on the thallus of the rhizopus. So thalospore, what is the thallus? Mycelium is the thallus. These chlamydospores develop on the thallus, so they are considered as thalospores. Okay, see in the diagram, these circular or oval structures, egg-like structures are the chlamydospores. They are swollen, they are bulging structure. Why any structure is bulging in the biology? When food material is saturated in high amount, that structure become a bulging, structure become a thick. So these chlamydospores are develops due to saturation of food material at certain point on the mycelium. Okay, these according to position of chlamydospores on the mycelium, they considered as a terminal chlamydospores, apical chlamydospores or intercalary chlamydospores. Apical means what? They produce on the upper side. Terminal means they produce at the terminal conditions at the mycelium is ends. Okay, and intercalary means they present at the center of the mycelium. So these are the chlamydospores. They are resting spores. They are thick-walled spores. They are developed in the unfavorable conditions. They are larger than the sporangiosperms. Sporangiosperms are abundantly developed, but chlamydospores cannot abundantly develop. They are developed in few numbers. They are developed in few numbers. Okay, see point number 1. During unfavorable conditions, asexual reproduction takes place by means of chlamydospores. Okay, clear? Point number 2. At the time of chlamydospore formation, the mature mycelium becomes septate. You see, in the entire life cycle of the rhizopus, mycelium is the sinocytic, but at the time of chlamydospore formation, the mycelium becomes septate. Why septate? For storing, for saturation of the food material. Okay, mycelium becomes a septate and the protoplast of each cell forms a rounded and thick walled structure known as chlamydospore. Okay, point number 3. The chlamydospores are perinating bodies and they can pass unfavorable conditions. As they are thick walled spores, as they are resting spores, they goes in the long dormancy period, so that they are thick walled structures. Okay, and number 4 and last, they germinate and few new mycelium of the rhizopus. Mycelia, plural of the mycelium. After their germination, when these chlamydospores are dispersed through different vectors, when they settle down on the suitable substratum, if the environmental conditions are the favorable at that time, due to absorbing of the high moisture present in the atmosphere, they become a bulging and they start germination, and they produce the new individual mycelium of the rhizopus. In this way, the today's lecture is over. In today's lecture, we have studied the systematic position of the rhizopus, then occurrence of the rhizopus, then the habit means thallus structure of the rhizopus, in which the matured thallus having three parts, rhizoids, then stolon and sporangiophores, then the vegetative reproduction which is caused by fragmentation, then asexual reproduction caused by sporangiospores and chlamydospores. Thank you.